Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's me. It's me. It's the G.O.C. coming to you live to tape from the lounge here at Chaos headquarters. I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. Welcome to the new series on covering the history of old school pro wrestling for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Go out to the Peacock, and follow along with the Guardian of Chaos. Here on the YouTube channel, this will be episode 3. We're hopping into the time machine and we're going back to April 14th, 1975 in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be an unbelievable show. Follow me on all social media platforms, and you know what they are. On Twitter, in real time, at Big Daddy G.O.C., and the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. Follow me on Instagram, the Guardian of Chaos. On Facebook, my 2 accounts, that's right, there's 2. J Brony, that's right, Jabroni, and Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian. Follow me on Gitter, Gab, Truth Social, Rumble. I cover it all in the IWC, whether it's the WWE, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, MLW, Impact, the NWA, or my home at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. You're not going to want to miss this one-man, unique, unedited, unbelievable podcast, reality TV show. This is what you get. You come into my world, into my home here at Chaos headquarters, and it's one man, as I said, and it's relatable topics. So this is a new series, episode 3. I can't wait to bring you the historical, classic coverage and review here at Chaos Corner. Over 1.7 thousand videos on the YouTube channel. Go to the community section and you'll see all the different photos of all the people that I've worked with and different legends, heroes, young lions, and current stars in the business. You're not going to want to miss this, fans. Again, in the time machine, April 14th, 1975. Come on back, man. We're having one heck of a time. It's freezing here in the Northeast. Bundle up and stay close to your family and your loved ones. Don't you dare miss it. Come on back, man. All right, guys. Now that we're off all the other social media platforms, welcome back to episode 3. And as announced on the Peacock, you could follow along here, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share the wealth here. I'm here to give you the relatability of me in my personal story and covering the history and my connections here in the business. We're going back, as I said, 75. So what am I at that point? 12, pushing 60 now here in 2023. And I do this for you guys as my stress reliever. And just because this is my passion, you can see it, right? You can feel it, right? This is why I do this. So this was a little bit different of a card that I covered here. Vince, solo on the commentary still, Vince Jr. And you can see in the crowd as I've the recurring theme here is all ethnicities, religions, social backgrounds. It didn't matter who you were, color, creed, anything. Everybody got along, and it was mostly an adult product. The kayfabe was still alive. That's why I'm covering this, and this is the new series. We're going to go through step by step in different generations and different eras. Again, this is, 40, 50 years ago? And it still applies today. Because as I've said in the previous shows on here in this new series, you can't get to where you are or where you want to go without knowing where you've been. You have to be a carpenter. You have to give back. You have to do your due diligence and go back into history to see the people that paved the way for those currently in the industry. So sit back, again, grab your beverage. I had espresso in the last couple of episodes. I'm down to H2O now, but I can't complain. Hey, we're still here, right? So what I've noticed about this card here from 1975, the first 2 or 3 matches, you see where the WWWF was trending back then, more jobber matches on the bigger cards with the bigger names, and the way the crowd reacts, even with the opening bouts. And most of the times, the main events were not the final bouts here back in the day. An old school, if you will. I am the old man brand, the over 50 demo god. So listen to the crowd when you go back and you follow this. Listen to the reactions. See how it's a jam-packed, sold-out capacity just about every time. It really is unbelievable. But I noticed the first couple of matches here, I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, no matter what it is I cover, current day or history. A little sloppy, but I like to bring you, an honest opinion. And the way they announced it back then, your ring announcers and your referees, I'll try to throw out news and notes that I have from these cards from back in the day and how they would come in and recognize the New York State Athletic Commission, the 3 judges at ringside, the attending physician, the timekeeper. It really is different. And most matches are one fall, 20-minute time limit as opposed to 10 minutes in today's current product, or it's one fall to the curfew, or another trend that I noticed back in the 70s when I was a young boy, and my influences on what you could see my current day gimmick, character, and product was throughout my whole career of over 3 decades of being in the business. A lot of 2 out of 3 matches, a lot of different finishes, simple moves, simplicity of holds and finishers and the pin. It really is different to today's product. And no offense, great athletes today, I get it, but wrestling back in the golden era when I was a young boy really was incredible. So the first 3 matches that we open up here on April 14th, 1975, Tough Tony Altomori, okay, the Stanford Stomper, 265 pounds, against, from Knoxville, Tennessee, All-American football player at 255 pounds, Mike Padusis. This was the opening bout that night, and you know the history of Tough Tony Altomori, the Stanford Stomper. And as it relates to myself, where I first started my original training in 1984, and then, of course, Mario Mancini came out of that school, Paul Roma, Big Steve Tracy, Paul Perez, and, of course, my home at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. So you see the relevance there. And looking back and seeing Tony at the Garden against Mike Padusis, this was a decent opening bout. The winner here, obviously the heel was Tough Tony Altomori, teamed with Captain Lou Albano. You guys know this. Padusis went over, simple, a pin after a missed kick by Altomori, who went to kick. Padusis moved out of the way. He landed on his ass, and Altomori was pinned. 1, 2, 3 right in the middle of the ring. Something as simple as that. That's how simple this match was. You know, the arm drags, the use of the turnbuckles, the showmanship, the stalling, if you will, in the beginning of the match, wrist locks, pulling of the trunks, the lockups, and again, the trend of everybody biting back in the 70s. It really was a big trend, people biting each other in these matches. And again, kayfabe was alive. And here's where the job matches came into play. But again, as I said, even in the opener, the showmanship, playing the crowd like Altomori did. Padusis pins Altomori, a quick roll up, as I said. 13 minutes and 5 seconds for the opening bout there for what you would call jobbers. Your referee was Bill Chapman. So that's how we opened up April 14th, 1975. The next match, 1 fall, 20 minutes, the debut of Greg the Hammer Valentine here on April 14th, 1975, from California, listed at 240 pounds, against, from Mexico City, El Olímpico, who we've seen back here in the 70s for the WWWF, with the open lucha mask. The open face with the hood on behind. So a totally different look, and the crowd reaction to Olímpico. Again, whether you were Mexican, whether you were black, whether you were Puerto Rican, whether you were Italian, Polish, the reaction from the crowds, just unbelievable towards those, a reflection of the city and people that were here at that time. And it just really was pretty amazing to go back. And then, is it slow? Do you find it boring? No, I don't. Simplicity, keep it simple, stupid. I've said it before. So I find it to be fantastic for history and looking back as compared to the great athletes of today. And this was even announced and called by the ring announcer in exhibition. And this is 1975. A series of hammerlocks or reversals, clubbing forearms was the moves of the decade, or of the business at that time. The big stomps, the clubbing forearms, the kicks, the boots, the simplicity of selling. I keep using that word and saying these phrases, but they apply. And Here's how the bout finished. Valentine in his debut over the veteran El Olympico with a simple elbow drop off the ropes, his classic elbow drop right there in his debut in 1975 for the pin. 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Greg Valentine, bleach blonde surfer from California back then in 75 in his debut. What history on this card, April 14th, 1975. The next bout, again, how they played the characters. You clearly knew who the heel and face was, and the good versus evil, and bad guy versus good guy. It was clear as day. There was no two ways about it, how you played into the ethnicity, which you couldn't do with these storylines today because everyone's, flaked out and woke, whatever you want to call it. Waldo von Erich, the champion of all Germans, with the helmet and the crop and the whole 9 yards, weighing in at 260 against, and they kept calling him this, Vince, the Indian, Chief J. Strongbow. The crowd was hot, and listen, Strongbow certainly got the reaction from the people there at Madison Square Garden. Pawhuska, Oklahoma, 255 pounds, the full headdress. And again, as I said in previous episodes, as we started here in a series, maybe on episode 2, the original Hulk up long before Hulk was Chief J. Strongbow, if you think about it. Just like I said, Putski with the beers in the ring and different things that he did, and singing to the crowd and the ear, listen to the crowd from corner to corner and all around 4 sides of the ring, long before what people knew in the 80s and into the 90s. So you could see my influences there. A good match, a good bout. Waldo von Erich, he attacks the Chief from the top. Throws him right over the top rope. Chief lands hard. You're not going to see anything like this. This could be a record. It was over in 39 seconds. Chief J. Strongbow apparently got knocked out or went over the top rope, landed the wrong way. And this bout, your winner, Waldo von Erich, in 39 seconds. And of all people who came out, Bruno Sammartino, the champion, came out and helped assist Jay Strongbow to the back. Kayfabe was still alive, man. 39 seconds. The big German, Waldo von Erich, here on April 14th, 1975. Go back and check this out. You won't believe it. And the crowd was hot. Then we had, I talked about earlier, whether it be the ladies' classic wrestling, 2 out of 3 falls. Also bringing in the midgets, and you could say midgets back then, 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook against Little Louie and Sonny Boy Hayes. All 4 of these guys were in great shape. The typical ref spots, so on and so forth. The crowd reaction to the midgets even back then in the 70s. Again, ahead of their time. Great athletes. Your winners, Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook, the heels over the faces, so to speak. This match, Little Tokyo pinned Little Louie in the final fall. And this match went 18 minutes, I believe, in total. And of course, as I said, the ref spots are always hilarious. And these guys were in great shape and solid work for back then. 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. And again, Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook over Little Louie and Sonny Boy Hayes. 1975, Madison Square Garden. Let's continue here. Episode 3, fans, thanks for being here. I couldn't thank you enough. I'm going to continue with this. So we move on to the Garden, a.k.a. Also known back in the day as part of the Felt Forum, right? The Felt Forum, am I right there? I think I am. Next up, again, the main event wasn't always on last back in the day. You mixed it in with the rest of the card. It could be the 2nd or 3rd match. It could be the 5th or 6th, and sometimes it could be the last match. The placement of what they did back in the 70s. This next bout, as we said in some of the previous episodes, a trilogy between then-champion Bruno Sammartino and the Golden Greek with classy Freddie Blassie. That would be Spiros Arion from Athens, Greece, 260 pounds against the champion with the Golden Boy Arnold Skolin. The crowd reactions for Bruno and just this match and the selling and the psychology just really was unbelievable. This was a no time limit, no pinfall, only by submission, Greek death match. So go back on and check this out, because if you remember on the previous episode, and the last time Sammartino and Arion met in this huge feud in the middle 70s, Bruno got the victory, but Arion's feet were clearly on the ropes, but they didn't change the decision. They gave the victory to Bruno, even though the ref didn't see it. His foot, I saw it. His foot were on the rope. Go back and check it out on the cock. You guys will see it on the network. So this is the trilogy, the third match, and again, the crowd exploded and went wild. I can't tell you the insaneness of the reactions of the crowds back then. Nothing today could carry the jockstrap of what happened back then, with the classic rights from Bruno Sammartino, those trademark rights, the stomps, the bear hugs, the body slams, chokes from Arion, Bruno even used the tag rope to choke out Arion. Arion was tossed outside the ring, the Golden Greek, a couple of times. And as I mentioned before, most managers, just about all the time, Blassie, the Wizard, Skolin, Albano, did not stay at ringside. You walked your guy to the ring, but then you left ringside. So how much has changed over the years, including when I was managing for my 3+ decades. Didn't leave ringside unless I got tossed that one time by Mick Foley against Jerry King Lawler, but it is what it is. This was an unbelievable bout for the day. Again, just the selling and the crowd reaction alone. 15 minutes and 58 seconds. And Arion submits via a half Boston Crab to Bruno Sammartino. And again, I can't say enough the crowd reactions and the insaneness of the day of the sold-out crowds and back in the 70s. Again, when I'm 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and you see the influences. So what about Bruno retained the WWWF heavyweight title against Arion, who at the time was the #1 contender. We go on next in the matchup from April 14th, 1975 at Madison Square Garden. Again, follow me along. The great legend Eduardo Carpentier from France, 230 pounds, against the Butcher, Joe Nova, a big dude out of New Jersey, over 300-pounder. Again, the common theme through a lot of this, besides the simplicity of the moves, and I keep using that and repeating that, and I apologize because it's apropos, the biting. Every match, somebody was biting someone, dastardly, despicable human beings. So that was Joe Nova's, clearly the heel, obviously. That was his forte back then, 75 against Carpentier. Now, Carpentier, you know the history, if you know your due diligence and you're a historian like I am, the handstands, the cartwheels, the acrobatic kicks, the arm bars, the arm drags, and then he pinned Butcher, Big Joe Nova, if you will, after doing 3 standing or just a semi-running cannonballs out of nowhere for the pin. 9 minutes and 16 seconds, and you're a winner. The legendary Frenchman, Eduardo Carpentier. Interesting match, and boy, it was Carpentier in great shape. It was good to see. Talk about high flyers and guys ahead of their time, whether it be Carpentier, Anthony DeRocca, Argentina Apollo. Just classic wrestling, guys. Go back and check out these cards at the Garden and the history. You are not going to want to miss this. And then the final bout of the night, again, you see how they go from the main event and the big stars, and you have matches after the fact. Nothing like that today. Well, boy, I tell you, 1 fall to a curfew, because in New York, State Athletic Commission, the whole 9 yards, 11 p.m. curfew, you know that, and they played right into it. And Big Bobby Duncombe out of Houston, Texas, if you remember Duncombe, I remember Duncombe very well, with the Grand Wizard, 295 pounds, Duncombe, against sensational Victor Rivera out of Puerto Rico. He's been in these last few episodes. He was a big part of the Puerto Rican community, the Hispanic community, and boy, did he sell in Madison Square Garden. And Victor Rivera had a big push, and you know that his moveset, 235 pounds, not a huge guy, but what an unbelievable athlete. His trademark sleeper holds and, abdominal stretch, a bunch of near pinfalls in this, and Duncombe came up to be a big star. It was a big dude. The right hands, the fiery Latino heat, so to speak, long before Eddie Guerrero, Victor Rivera, Pedro Morales. I mean, that's why he's sensational, Victor Rivera. And the crowd reactions that certain ethnicities received back and then, you can't make it up. It was priceless. And at this time in 75, Victor Rivera is the Puerto Rican champion and now considered the Puerto Rican champion and have relocated to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Oh, you fans of Historian, you know that. And that's what you get here on Chaos Corner on the network, reviewing these old school shows from the Garden. And we'll be going on to the Philadelphia Spectrum and the Boston Garden and the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. And, you know, we've done NWA on here and Starrcade and World Class Championship Wrestling. So this is what you get here. And because of the 11 p.m. curfew, and they really stuck to it, I told you about the New York State Athletic Commission, the 3 judges, so on and so forth, nothing like today's business. Oh, we were going to extended time, AEW Tony Khan, go past the time. None of that BS back then. Curfews, draws, that's what you have. You don't have any of that stuff in today's business. So this match went to the 11 p.m. curfew. And again, Bobby Duncan, known for back then as the heel he was, using the foreign objects, big body slams, even some nice suplexes. Again, these guys ahead of their time back in the 70s. So this, I don't know what the full time limit was on here. Was one fall to a curfew? It did go to the curfew, so the ref called it a draw. And you'll also see that as a recurring themes here of the simplicity of the moves and playing the crowds and the showmanship and the generalship and you know, extending the matches, mat work, simple moves, finishers that meant something, and pins that didn't even make sense sometimes with the finishers. But I enjoy the simplicity and the historical part of doing this and giving it back to you guys. And again, I'll say that to say this because I tell it like it is. You can't get to where you want to go or even where you are without knowing where you've been. And that's what this series and these new shows are all about here on the network. So that's what I wanted to bring to you. Episode 3, April 14th, 1975. You see the results here. Coming up on episode 4, another fantastic card. We're going to hop in the time machine again, and we're going to end up back at the Garden for episode 4, February 2nd, 1976. Let that sink in since we're here in February 2023. February 1976 to February 2023 is the next episode here on Chaos Corner. It's gonna be, as they say now, a banger. Well, I'll say a slobber knocker. So come back for episode 4. We're going to have many stars on there. The main event is Bruno Sammartino and superstar Billy Graham. Ivan Putski squares off against Ivan Koloff. Bobo Brazil will be on the card. And we're going to start off with several jobber matches to begin with. Everybody from Kevin Sullivan to Louis Cyr to Pete Sanchez and fabulous Frank Monte. We're even going to take a look at one of my favorite heels of all time, the King, if you will, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. So guys, come on back to Guardian of Chaos on the YouTube channel. Follow me on all the other social media platforms. Leave a comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Get us in the algorithm. Here on Chaos Corner, it's me, it's the G.O.C.